What's good guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as you can tell by the title of today's video, we are going to be going through light painting. And if you don't know what it is, I'll put a quick demonstration of what a light paint image looks like on the screen now. Light paint photography, that involves taking a photo over a longer exposure. I shoot for roughly about 10 seconds if I'm doing a light paint of a car. That just gives me enough time to get from one end of the car to the other and get out of the frame with the light. So if you know me, you know that my channel and myself is all about automotive content. And the other night I had the pleasure of shooting one of my friend's old Mark III Fiestas. But first things first, we need to talk about equipment. What are you going to need? The first thing you're going to need is a camera, which I'm sure that you probably have. Second, and that's one of the main things, is you're going to need a light source. You can use a cheap torch for this, but it's not recommended. I have done a couple photos with it, and you just notice a massive difference between using a torch and a proper light stick. You can get light sticks off Amazon from anything from £40 to £200, depending on what you want to spend. But I recommend that you get one that has a variable control setting that you can control the lighting, make it warmer or colder, and brighter and dimmer. And then obviously you're going to need a tripod. This is one of the crucial parts of taking a light painting photo. Having your camera on a tripod is going to enable you to keep your camera completely still. If you don't have your camera on a tripod, it's going to more than likely cause all your images to be out of line, and when you come to stacking them on top of each other, they're not going to match up. And not only that, if you're taking a picture over 10 seconds, it's going to be completely blurry because you're bound to have a slight shake in your hands, and over 10 seconds that is going to make a massive movement between the photos. Fourth, but it's not crucial, but I personally like to use a wireless remote just so that I can still stay in the frame, press the remote and the shutter releases, and then I can go around. Having a remote basically removes any risk of any camera movement of you going over and pressing the shutter button. So having it on a remote, I'm not touching the camera at all, it's staying in the same place, and then eliminates every reason possible to not move the camera. And then final thing you need is something that you're going to be shooting the photo with. Well, in my case, it's a car. Starting off, we're going to jump straight into a video that I took the other night of basically the steps that you need to take of walking around the car with the light, and then we can jump straight into Photoshop with all the pictures that I took. Right, so basically, as you guys know, that I'm shooting on a A7 Mark II, and you can see in my settings down here, shooting at a 10-second exposure with f9, and then ISO is about 100. I normally go about 80 to 100, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try one pass, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like real quick. If it's going to focus, that's basically there. I'll come out, you've seen that real quick, what it come out like with just one pass over the roof. So I hope that gives a basic understanding of what passes you need to get and what movements you're doing going around the car with the light stick. Basically, you're lighting up certain panels, and then you're getting your shot over the top of the car to get all the highlights over the top, and then obviously lighting up all the background, lighting up all the floor, just so that you've got a perfect part of the image in multiple layers that we can stack on top of each other. Now that that's all been said, let's jump straight over into Photoshop, and I can give you a quick tutorial on how you stack all these photos together. Right, so now that we are inside Photoshop, we need to open up all of the images that we took of the car the other night. So what we need to do is go over to File, down into Scripts, and then load into Stack. Obviously browse, find all the photos on your computer. So I have all the images I took the other evening. I'm just going to open them all. You can attempt to automatically align source images. I personally don't do it, but I do highly recommend it. So you've got all the files you want, you've attempted to automatically align the source. It just basically puts all the images perfectly in line, but sometimes if you have a light source that's kind of got in the way, it does kind of throw off the images, so I personally don't do it. So you're okay. It'll take a few seconds to load all the images up. And as you can see down here, we have all of the layers. So what I'm going to do, first thing that I do is I go onto every single one and I lighten every single image. So if you go on the drop down here, click lighten, you can see that all of the layers then become basically transparent so that you can see through each layer. And obviously you can see here it's revealing all of the light spew that was in certain layers. But that is what we're going to be removing when it comes down to the editing. As you can see there, I turned that layer on. Basically here, I had, they was doing a photo shoot next to me, so I had the light source from another brake light of the next car. So we will be using that in. Obviously, as I'm turning these all on, you can see there is a lot of mess. But this is where all the fun part comes in when you're getting rid of all of that. And just one thing to note, this is going to be a real quick tutorial. So this isn't going to be an absolute perfect photo. But you can spend more time on it when it comes down to it. You can mask all the way around the car and get the shot absolutely perfect. But we'll do the best that we can with the time that we've got. But that there is all of the layers basically turned on, and you can see, obviously we have all of these lights. That one there was me walking over the top of the car, and by having that light there basically illuminates all of the highlights around the edge of the car. So we want to keep all of that, but we want to get rid of all of these light spills. So the next thing that I do is I go onto all of the layers and I add an adjustment layer over the top here. So I just go onto every single one, add a layer on top. So the next thing that I do is I turn all of the layers off apart from the one layer that I want to work on. So I normally start with the first image. So as we can see, we have the first image on here. So yeah, there isn't actually anything in this image that I'm not liking, apart from obviously there's a few bits of bird poo on the wall and on the floor. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my heel brush and just quickly heel over the top of them, get rid of any annoying bits in the way. And that is going to be basically our base layer. Also a bit of poo there, get rid of that. And then we want to be turning the next layer on and seeing what we have. So we have this big light streak going across here, and also we don't want that. So what we're going to do is clicking on the adjustment layer that's on top of that, and then going on to your brush tool, which is B. You can basically just go over the top of that and get rid of it. You are going to see a change of light, as you can see from here to here on the door, because the photo underneath is darker and the photo on top is lighter, so you're going to see a transition of that. But when we add all the rest of the layers, that will kind of blend out. So now that I'm happy with that part, I'm going to turn on the next piece, and everything down here seems to be absolutely fine. So happy with all of that. So apart from the mess on the floor, so we're going to do the same again. Click on the original layer and get rid of all the bits that are on the floor that you can see, just to kind of tidy it up so there's less distraction and you want all the attention pretty much on the car. So by getting rid of all of the stuff on the floor, just getting that cleaner image. So alright, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to turn on the next layer, and here you can see we have a massive light spill here, so we're going to be getting rid of that. So click on the adjustment layer of that, and then going back onto your brush tool, making that a lot bigger and just getting rid of that. I like the way that that's darkening that down, so you go tone that down on that wall right there. But as you can see already, the picture seems to be taking place very nicely. We have a nice well lit up floor down here. The background's not too prominent, but you can see everything that's going on, and the car is very well lit up. And then our next layer, this is where I sat inside the car and had the brake lights on, and obviously there was no other light at all in this shot, as you can see if I turn all these off. That is basically the image. Obviously sat in the driver's seat, but you can't see me. And obviously the main focus of this was to get the brake lights, but we're going to be getting rid of this one here because we want all the direction of the light going back. Right, so on this one, basically what I'm going to be doing is getting rid of everything apart from the lights at the back. So having all the other layers turned off just makes it that bit easier to see what you're getting rid of. So almost looks like we're deleting all of the photo, but you see the magic will appear in just a moment. So I'm going to turn all these layers back on again. As you can see, we've still got the light lit up here, but we've got all the original light that we had earlier back on. We turn the next one on. That is a shot that I just done, the interior on its own. So if I turn all these off, you can see what that looks like. And that was just a shot where the light bar was sat inside the car. Right, so next we have that light that was coming from the car that was going to shoot behind. I quite like that. So personally I'm going to leave that in there, apart from you can see that it's shining a bit of light onto the car. So if we go onto our brush tool and select that layer, we can just quickly remove that. Just go around down here just in case there's any other spill. I personally want to keep all of the light that's coming onto the bumper, so what I'm going to do is click on that, get rid of everything else that is around the car, making my brush tool bigger, get rid of all of this unwanted light that's here, just go around, keeping all of that. I'm happy with that. No need for that layer either, and no need for that layer. So obviously there is going to be layers that you're not going to need, but just looking at that already you can see that that is a great photo in itself. But then you can go ahead and you can do all your final touches of cleaning up the floor, getting rid of the lines, and then you could also get rid of the light strip that is on the bonnet if you wanted to go down to the layer that was on. Let's just find that one, which is that one. So you could do the heel brush and get rid of it that way, but this being a quick tutorial, you can see how it's a basic understanding of a light paint photo. So what we're going to do now is export that photo. That was a real quick how to produce a light painting photo like the one on screen. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and hopefully you learned something. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. It helps the channel massively and it helps me produce content like this for you guys. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn post notifications on, and I'll see you guys in the next video.